Today for New Jersey, it's the SNL Nerds, the show where two comics from New Jersey nerd out about Saturday Night Live. I'm your co-host, John Trumbull.
And I'm your co-host, Darren Patterson.
Hey, Darren Patterson. How are you?
Hey, John Trumbull, how are you? I'm doing okay. I'm doing better than okay, actually. I'm doing pretty great.
Ooh.
Actually, you know what? No, I'm doing better than that. I'm doing grand. And I'm doing grand because we have a guest.
We do.
Here with us today.
We do. We do have a guest. We have a very exciting guest. We have a guest who has been with us before. He has covered two movies with us before. He has covered the movies Tommy Boy and Black Sheep.
Yes, and now he's here with us on what I think is a much better movie than both those two movies. You loved him then. You're going to love him now. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the hosts of the world-renowned movie podcast, Medium Popcorn. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, theys and thems, give it up for Mr. Brandon Collins.
Hey, everybody! Thanks so much for that amazing introduction. This is so much fun already.
Yeah, I know.
Well, welcome back, Brandon. It's nice to have you back. Nice to, we ran out of Chris Farley, David Spade movies, so we're just like, we're going to pivot over to an Eddie Murphy movie. Why not that?
Yes, thank God. I mean, this is actually like a really perfect fit for me because I didn't know if we were going to be on video, and I actually have with me a VHS that I used to watch with my grandmother, who introduced me to Eddie Murphy, of the best of Eddie Murphy SNL, and Eddie Murphy was my foray into comedy, into sketch comedy particularly. Like it's it's great to be able to do the show with you all and like talk about Eddie Murphy specifically.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I think, in that respect, we're the same. I've mentioned on the podcast before, like, Eddie Murphy was, like you said, my entry point into the world of stand-up comedy. Like, I think, I'm a little older than you, but, like, I still remember the first time I watched Delirious, and just seeing this dude talk about saying some outlandish shit of, like ice cream trucks and Lord knows what. Like, it was really hilarious to me. And like after watching him do that, I was like, oh, this stand-up comedy thing seems pretty fun. I wonder what other stand-up comedians are out there. And then that was it. I was off to the races.
I should just say real quickly, since, we're already talking about Eddie Murphy, and, for anyone who suffered a massive head injury between downloading this podcast and starting to listen to it, we're talking about Beverly Hills Cop Axel F., the new Beverly Hills Cop movie that just recently dropped on Netflix at the beginning of July. So
yes, this came out a couple weeks ago, July 3rd, so 4th of July weekend, directed by Mark Malloy. This is his first directorial debut for a feature film. I think before this he'd done a few commercials, so nothing, really as of note. Screenplay written by Tom Gormican and Kevin Eaton, I looked it up. They're like a writing duo they created the TV show Ghosted with that show with Adam Scott and Craig Robinson. And
I remember that.
Yeah, and then they also wrote the Nicolas Cage movie, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, that came out not too long ago.
I've seen that.
Yeah. And another writer on this, Will Beal, who, if I'm not mistaken, wrote Aquaman and Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Yes, he did.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. I'm assuming he's the one that they had for, like, the action scenes, and then the other two guys were for, like, the rest of it.
Yeah. And this is interesting because it's happening literally 30 years since the last one. Beverly Hills Cop 3 came out in 1994. We have the original Beverly Hills Cop 40 freaking years ago, 1984. We had Beverly Hills Cop 2 in 1987. They finally get a third one off the ground, which I think was directed by John Landis, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, I
believe so.
Yeah. Like I think if you look into it, I remember that one kind of being infamously a pretty beleaguered shoot. I think like Murphy and Landis kind of butted heads on that one. And
I remember, I think it might have been after Beverly Hills Cop 3. Eddie Murphy, I think, had a quote said, John Landis will work with Vic Morrow before he works with me again.
Oh,
which, Holy shit. Yeah, if you don't get that joke, give John Landis Twilight Zone a Google and
Wow.
prepare to be horrified.
Yeah,
Um,
I feel like didn't Eddie Murphy also allude that Beverly Hills Cop 3 kind of at the end of the day was like a money thing for him more than anything because the script wasn't ever going to be where he really wanted it to be, and so they just kind of settled for what they had and just did it, and they all knew that was kind of
Probably.
a
I know he said
lackluster.
that he was not happy with it, and I'm going to be upfront. To this day, I have only seen bits and pieces of Beverly Hills Cop 2, and I have seen nothing of Beverly Hills Cop 3. So I've basically seen the first one, and then I came into this one.
Oh
Yeah.
What
wow!
about you guys? How many of the Beverly Hills Cop movies have you seen?
Well, Brandon, you go. You can go
I
first.
mean, I rewatched all of them. I hadn't seen Beverly Hills Cop 3
Hmm.
until I was about to get. I got a screener for Axel F like a few weeks before it came out, and so I was like, "Let me catch
Ooh,
up on them." And then, so I watched the first one again. It's still incredible. It's incredible how many of the early Eddie Murphy movies still hold up. And Beverly Hills Cop is definitely one of them. Beverly Hills Cop 2 was does what a sequel does, which is making things bigger, badder, crazier. I actually quite enjoyed it. I like the soundtrack a lot too. So Beverly Hills Cop 2 was a great sequel in the series, but Beverly Hills Cop 3 is just so cuckoo bananas. It focuses on like this weird amusement park, and it just doesn't have really any heart in it. It doesn't have any comedy. It's
Yeah.
really awkward. But there are some things I think from Beverly Hills Cop 3 that you need to kind of be familiar with in order to fully understand what's going on with Axel F. And that's mainly
Oh.
around Taylor Page's character, even though they
hmm
don't explicitly say who her mom is. It's a really weird thing, but the series is just completely very much uneven. It's a but I feel like this is a little bit of a return to form without spoiling my take on the film.
yeah. Well, and if folks are curious on our take on the original Beverly Hills Cop, we covered it on this podcast about a year ago, episode 243. Uh, with our friend Nigel Fullerton of the Murphy Monday podcast. So go look that up if you're curious what we think of the first one, then give this one a listen.
Yeah.
Uh,
But yeah, I mean, I'm the same way. I guess I'm the same way because like I didn't see Beverly Hills Cop 2 or 3. So I've only
mhm.
seen the one, of course, the one we
Okay.
did on this we talked about on this podcast. So like I was watching Axel F kind of coming in through that lens, but I pretty much got it. Like I don't know. I was thinking about maybe going back to see Beverly Hills Cop 3 just to see if I understand Axel F a little bit more. But you can, I don't, I don't know. I kind
Yeah,
of feel like
I don't think you. I mean, I didn't feel like I was confused or like I'd missed out on anything watching this. It was like there's a quick reference to Taggart because apparently he retires in the third movie, or I think he's not in the
He's
third
not in
movie,
the
and they
third
say he's
movie. Yeah,
retired.
yeah, he's
And
gone.
then early in this movie, then his first scene, they're like, "I thought you retired," and he's like, I got remarried and I came back, because I got
oh,
to stay away from my wife."
uh,
Which was great that we finally met. It's like saw her in
Uh
this. This
huh.
is the first time in the series we actually saw Taggart's wife, which is hilarious.
Yeah, yeah. So,
okay.
um,
But yeah, it is interesting with that
yeah.
third movie. I actually looked it up. There's this one quote from John Landis saying, like, because he's the one that directed Beverly Hills Cop 3, him saying, "quote Cop 3 was a very strange experience. The script wasn't any good, but I figured, so what? I'll make it funny with Eddie. But then I discovered on the first day when I started giving Eddie some shtick, he said, John, Axel Foley is an adult now. He's not a wise ass anymore." So with Beverly Hills Cop 3, I had this strange experience where he was very professional, but he just wasn't funny. I would try to put him in funny situations, and he would try to find a way to step around them. It's an odd movie. There are things I like in it, but it's an odd movie.
Wow.
So,
I don't know what to say to that because it's like, yeah, people don't really see the Beverly Hills Cop movies to see Eddie Murphy be serious. So I don't. What a weird idea.
yeah, I mean, he is a good, serious actor for sure, but
Yes.
Yeah,
this
but
ain't
if you're
the.
making a Beverly Hills Cop movie, I feel like it should be funny. I feel like that's step one.
Yeah.
It, I think I can see where Eddie is coming from in regards to
Yeah.
like Axel Foley having some growth, and I think that that's kind of what they were trying to touch,
Right.
balance.
I think that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that obviously the writer, the director, and Eddie were just misaligned in what they were trying to accomplish and where they thought the Axel Foley character was in Beverly Hills Cop 3, because it is a lot darker, I would say,
Mm-hmm.
in regards to things that happen in it. I mean, though it's completely absurd and just silly at times and like nonsensical. So I can see where that was, but like it just misfire on all cylinders. I mean, it's so bad. Netflix has Beverly Hills Cop 1, 2, and Axel F. You have to go deep into Paramount Plus to find Beverly Hills Cop 3.
Jeez.
Wow. So they
Like,
didn't even bother getting the rights to Beverly Hills Cop 3.
You have to go digging for it.
Interesting. Okay.
I kind of want to see it now after all this.
Yeah,
Oh,
I kind of want to see like how bad it is. I'm sure
It's
we'll
not
round
even
up.
fun bad though. It's so absurdly bad and ridiculous, and you're just kind of like, what? Like that's what they came back for? It's the only thing that's consistent throughout the whole series is that Billy Rosewood is cuckoo bananas.
Mhm.
He's out of his mind. That's the only thing that's consistent.
Yeah, he's particularly odd in this one.
Yeah.
We will get to it. We will get to what this film's treatment of Billy Rosewood, which, like, by the end, I was like, is Judge Reinhold high? What is going on?
Yeah, he was kind of like acting. I don't know if he was acting fitting the tone of the movie. Well, maybe he kind of was.
No,
Yeah,
that's Billy.
I don't
Billy's
know. I
always
don't know.
odd.
So, okay, should we get into the movie?
Yeah, let's do it. I mean,
Okay.
one thing I liked about as soon as I saw the opening of this movie, like I kind of had a big smile on my face because the one thing throughout this movie, especially in the first and second half, is it has very strong '80s vibes, and you get
Yeah.
to see that when, like in the very opening of the movie, it has Axel Foley driving through Detroit to Glen Frey. The heat is on, and it has like a thing where
Glenn
it's like
Fry.
Glen Fry, sorry,
Yeah.
and it has like shots of Detroit. It like the style of the opening was very much like the style of the '80s movies from back in the day, which I don't know that tickled my nostalgia.
Yeah, I mean
fun
they're
bone.
trying to hit all the nostalgia buttons, I think, and in some places they are really aping the formula of the first Beverly Hills Cop movie. I A thing I was wondering immediately was like, why is Axel still on the job 40 years later? And they don't really answer that. But I'm like, Eddie Murphy's like 63, so it's like, why hasn't he taken his pension and retired? I think you only have in most police forces you only had to put in like 20 years before you're eligible for retirement.
I mean,
So
it was odd seeing Paul Reiser, who's back in the series, as
yeah,
his boss, but
Mhm.
I kind of wish there was like at least a little bit of time where it talked about how Axel is possibly like in this Arrested Development as a police detective. Like he never wanted to go above that and like explore a little bit why he just likes to do the street level stuff. But
yeah,
Yeah.
it's tough. That's why I said like the balance that I think Eddie was talking about, and for when they were making Beverly Hills Cop 3 makes sense, but I just don't know if they're ever like able to dig into that without it becoming too serious or sad,
Yeah, I
because
mean,
it is kind of sad.
yeah, I mean, they
yeah.
kind of touched on that, and I don't know if you guys saw the last Top Gun movie with
No,
Tom Cruise. Like his
Oh
character,
yeah,
like his character Maverick never became like a general or a captain or whatever. He just stayed as a pilot. And they kind of dug into that a little bit. It's like, well, why haven't you wanted to go up the ranks? Why are you still doing this? Like, I kind of wish they kind of did that for Axel a little bit more too. I see what you're
hmm
saying.
man,
I
Maverick was such a good legacy sequel. Holy crap! You just reminded me, Darren, of how good that movie is.
It was a song. I mean, I didn't see it till it came out on Paramount Plus, but after I saw it, I was like, oh, I should have seen this in the theater. Like, this is actually pretty damn good.
Yeah, it was really good.
I did really like that Paul Reiser it returned, and I love that Jeffrey is the chief now. I thought that was pretty cool, especially since the fellow who played the chief in the original movies has passed away, unfortunately, so
Uh,
they can't bring him back.
yeah,
Well, here is it okay if I spoil Beverly Hills Cop 3?
Yeah, that's fine.
He gets
sure.
killed in the third one.
Oh
Yeah,
well,
that's
okay.
why that's like the whole catalyst for him, Axel going back to California. But the whole reason why the chief gets killed is so stupid. You just roll your eyes the whole time.
Oh,
Okay.
okay, all
Yeah,
right.
because I mean, I did also notice there was like a little bit of an Easter egg where when Axel goes into Jeffrey's office, you see pictures of the old chief captain on the wall. Like,
Hmm.
and in real life, the actor, I believe, Gilbert Hill, he actually passed away in 2016. So it was like a nice
Yeah,
little
that's what I was referring to.
right, right. So it
So
was like a nice little nod to him
yeah,
and his legacy.
and we also have a Photoshop picture of Axel and Jeffrey as like rookies supposedly, and I was like, okay, I don't really buy that, but that's the best they could do.
They tried at least.
They tried. They tried.
Yes,
Um,
Photoshop technology hasn't advanced at all, I
So, some
guess.
movies don't even try. They just literally have like, all right, here are the actors during this time when we're filming this movie, and we're just gonna plaster like a room with framed photos of them in this time moment of
right.
time. It's just like,
Right.
okay, guys.
It's like,
Yeah.
okay, I guess.
So we open up with Axel and another cop at a Detroit Red Wings game. Um, well, after there's like an introductory thing of like Axel driving through Detroit and everyone's like, "Hey, Axel!
Yeah,
Hey, fuck
Mame.
you, Axel! I love you, Axel!" And I mean, just kind of basically establishing that he's still in Detroit and he's still on the force. Um, but then he goes to a Detroit Red Wings game. Eddie has some funny shtick where like his partner says like, "Oh, I didn't even think you were into hockey. Why'd you invite me to this game?" And he's like, "Oh, well,
Yep.
my grandfather was in the Negro League with the Winnipeg Black guys."
Yeah, and
and, and,
yeah, and
and we get Eddie doing his white guy voice a little bit,
yeah, a little bit.
playing the hits.
Yeah, and and then but then we see he's trying to stop a robbery going down because apparently
Hmm.
some hoodlums are robbing the hockey team in their
Yeah,
locker room,
yeah, yeah.
which
Or
is
they're I guess they're robbing the box office and then they're hitting the locker room to steal what they can. I don't know. It doesn't really matter, does it?
no, it's a bold move. I'll admit that. But then of course then we get an awesome chase scene where the guys get away and then Axel commandeers a snowplow and chases them
Yes.
through the streets and just smashes up cars.
Axel loves a truck.
He loves them.
Axel loves a truck. He loves commandeering vehicles. There's a
Yes.
lot of vehicle commandeering in this movie.
Yes, I want the biggest, baddest truck I can smash up half the street with.
It's also interesting seeing like Axel be a bit of a mentor to a less experienced cop. I don't know about Axel being considered a legend. I feel like he should always be a little underestimated. You want the hero to be an underdog, I guess.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I guess maybe he's like more of like a local legend where
Yeah.
like yeah, like the people in the neighborhood know him, but yeah, but he's still kind of. But then again, no, that doesn't make sense because like when he went out to he goes out to Beverly Hills in this movie.
What?
When
He goes to Beverly Hills in this movie.
yeah, like when he goes out to Beverly Hills, the cop and people in the cop force know him there too, and he's like,
Yep.
"Oh, you're like this local legend, and we all heard about you."
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, they definitely know about him in Beverly Hills because he's this black dude that comes from Detroit and always wrecks shop when he's in town. So they definitely know about Axel.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
what threw me off about that is how people didn't know that Taylor Page's character, Jane, wasn't his daughter. That's a bit like, okay, how is no one familiar with that? But
Yeah, well, I mean, she has changed her name to what I presume was her mother's maiden name, Saunders. So she's Jane Saunders, but yeah, you'd think that somebody would know, but I guess she just didn't talk about it because they've been estranged for at least 5 years.
Yeah,
he tells us.
I mean, Billy Rosewood knows, but like, I guess he's the only one.
Yeah, yeah. So we got a big chase with the snowplow. Pretty good chase.
Yeah, good chase. We got a Bob Seger song playing in the back. Again, it's strong '80s vibes.
yep.
We're like revisiting the original soundtrack.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's a shakedown, takedown, and that's, and then at the very end, you busted. I was like, okay. I'm not sure if it was the original Bob Seger version or if it was a cover of some kind.
It sounded like the original one.
Yeah. We have Neutron Dance later on.
Hell yeah.
They're playing all the hits.
Oh yeah. Oh god. Young Darren that grew up in the '80s is loving this right now.
Yeah, yeah. So I like Paul Reiser's line. He says, "Let me talk to the Motor City shit magnet." And Paul Reiser's like, "Yeah, look, you can't do this stuff that you did anymore because, like, it used to be like you just get yelled at by the chief. Now you got to fill out all this paperwork and stuff." And it's like they're trying to make it marginally more realistic than cop movies were in the 80s.
I mean, I
Yeah,
think they're trying to hold cops more accountable, because there's like a little bit of like the whole like, oh, your dad's a cop to
Yeah.
Jane's character and stuff. So they're trying to address some of the hostility that comes with being in law enforcement now, but
Yeah.
without being too heavy handed.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a delicate line to walk. And I think they generally do a pretty good job of it. And Jeffrey tells Axel like that he just turned in his papers and he's retiring. And Axel kind of figures out, oh, you're like falling on your sword for me. So he's like basically taking the fall for Axel, which was kind of interesting.
yeah, it definitely is interesting to see this sort of new dynamic between the two of them.
Yeah, I mean, it was just good to see Paul Reiser, even though I feel like it was a little shoehorned in, just because I think Axel, he should have been fired like decades ago. If he's still
Yeah,
being reckless
seriously.
like this, like ever being honest, he would have been his badge should have been taken away, all that stuff. But it was odd that he was like, yeah, I'm gonna take the fall for you and stuff. But they're also old. I think that we're getting to. If there is one more, it's definitely gonna be like a Lethal Weapon 4 vibe, right? Like we're too old to do this anymore. Like this is it. And so it kind of worked out, and he was there to still cover for him when he did the Beverly Hills stuff as well. Like he was able to help out with that from afar.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Paul Reiser says like, okay, look, Axel, I'm getting out of the job. You got to go talk to your daughter Jane. You may think you have all the time in the world, but you don't. You gotta make amends. You gotta make things right.
Yeah.
And we kind of gradually figure out what the deal is between the two of them over the course of the movie. And she's a lawyer in Beverly Hills.
Yes, goes by Jane Saunders, and she's like working on this case where her client is. He feels like he's being set up. Like he thought he was just doing some light drug muling, and he ends up being having a cop killer rap pinned on him, and so she's trying to get him out of that. And then she also gets threatened by some goons in masks, saying,
Yes.
"Hey, like, drop the case, lady." And she almost gets like pushed out of a parking car garage while she's in her car, like straight up threatened there.
Yeah, and we also like Axel gets a call from Billy Rosewood, who is like friends with Jane, and we find out Billy has quit the force. He's like a private investigator now.
Yeah, but
And like even when Billy calls up Axel answers the phone and he's like doing a bit, and I'm just like, Axel is doing so many bits already. I feel like you should be like taking an improv class on the side or something.
Yeah, because I would say he did a fair amount of bits in the first Beverly Hills Cop film, but maybe it does seem a little bit more bit heavy.
It seems almost compulsive in this movie. It's like, okay, what wacky voice am I going to do now? And it's like, you could just answer the phone like a normal human being, Axel. Nah.
But I mean, I think he's also kind of playing it up because I think he knows that that's what the people like. The people like to see the old Eddie Murphy with the shtick and cracking wise. So he's just giving us what we want, man.
I guess so. Yeah. So I don't know. I felt like, because also the movie's on the long side.
So
it is
about 2 hours.
I feel like that's way too long for a movie like that.
There's some stuff there's definitely a few scenes, like the scene where they're with Serge at the mansion looking around while Foley's scoping out the house next door, that could have been trimmed a little bit. There's definitely some fat that could have been taken out, but I think for me, I was just, my co-host Justin, his kid's name Axel, like he loves this series, right? And we were both just smiling ear to ear this whole time, just because it was good to see Eddie Murphy in a comedy that actually kind of rises to his capabilities. I think that's something that really frustrated me about Coming to America 2 was like, what is going on? Like Eddie Murphy in like one of his funniest roles, and he's not making me laugh in this movie, really.
Yeah.
Whereas in this one, I laughed quite a bit. I was very happy with how many laughs I got out of him.
Darren, we covered Coming to America to like what, about 2 years ago? Was that when that came out?
Coming to America. Yeah. I will agree with you there, Brandon. Like I really wanted to like that Coming to America sequel, and it just
I
let
don't
me
think I
down.
remember anything about that sequel. I think it has just faded in my memory so much. I'm like,
Block it
I know
out.
we did it on the podcast, but
we
It's
I
absolutely did.
could not tell you much about it at this point.
it's perfectly fine to block it out, John. It's like for me, that's why these legacy sequels are sometimes really, I perceive a caution because after Anchorman 2, I think I was kind of like, let me not dive into this stuff. Like that's why I never saw Dumb and Dumber 2. I never
Mhm.
saw Zoolander 2. I'm like, I love the originals. I'm not going to let this weird forced sequel tarnish my impression of it. And I got a little
Yeah.
burned with Coming to America for sure.
Yeah, just that one. I mean, I guess the one, like as soon as they had that one plot line where, well, now we're talking about Coming to America, but
That's
like
fine.
that one where like Prince Hakeem had a secret son that he didn't know about because he got date raped by I
Yeah,
was
I
like,
remember that now.
I
That's the
was
whole plot, though. It's
yeah,
so
but
bad. It's so bad.
I was like, that's the way you're gonna go. That's the.
That's how we're doing this. Okay,
I
all
was
right,
like, ah,
that's a choice. Yeah.
hmm.
Well, so no day rape in this movie. That's good, right? That's
Yeah,
something.
that's a plus. But I will say, yeah. So when we, I guess we could talk about now, like the way Judge Reinhold, who I believe is his first on-screen role in a number of years.
6.5 years I was reading. Yeah,
Wow. Yeah.
which I don't know if that's by choice or what's going on with Judge Reinhold in his life. Like early on, when like Judge Reinhold is calling Axel from the auto yard, I was like, oh shit, are they going to kill Billy Rosewood?
I
Because I
thought
don't
that
think
too.
I'm okay with that.
I thought that too, but for a different maybe for a different reason than you did, John.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, because I know Joseph Gordon-Levitt was in this movie, and if you kind of can put Joseph Gordon-Levitt next to Judge, right, as Billy, for me, like when I saw that casting, I'm like, oh, is Joseph going to be Billy's son?
I was thinking the same thing
And
when I
that's the
started
thing
watching
that
the movie
pulls
because they
Axel.
are a similar type. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be the catalyst for bringing Axel back to Beverly Hills. I mean, it was that Billy disappears, but they
Yeah.
had no connection with Joseph Gordon-Levitt to Billy, which I thought was a bit of a missed opportunity, sort of, because I think you could have done like a parallel story with Jane and Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, where it's like, all right, our dads were in police enforcement, we somehow ended up in Law and Order as well, and like, what did that do to us? You know what I mean?
Darren, I felt like I cut you off a bit there. Did you have something to say about Judge Reinhold?
Well, I was just gonna say how he played the character of Billy Rose. I don't remember Billy Rosewood being this kind of unhinged. I guess like he played it kind of
Did you see the second
wacky.
one?
He's
I,
kind of spacey in this one.
I didn't see the second one. So
Yeah,
maybe
the
that's
second
why.
one, he's out of his mind. That's when they really ramp him up. He's like obsessed with plants and like action movies like RoboCop. And he like at the end, like he's shooting 2 shotguns. Like he's crazy. Like they just like
Okay.
made him completely insane starting at the second one.
Because in the first one, he's just like this young, somewhat naive cop, and he goes on weird tangents once in a while, and he bothers John Ashton with weird bits of trivia, like meat staying in your body. So okay, yeah,
Yeah.
this seemed out of nowhere to me because I haven't seen the second one.
Oh no,
So,
yeah, they've been ramping up Billy for a while. This actually was a little toned down Billy compared to the last.
holy shit! Okay,
Yeah, in the second one is probably the most unhinged because even Taggart has lines like, "Billy, you are like crazy." Like he's, I don't know what the direction was or what Judge decided to do with that character, but yeah, they made him to the point where Justin and I, my co-host of Medium Popcorn, were like, Billy shouldn't be in law enforcement. He's a troubled person. Like he's not doing well.
Wow, Billy's been going crazy for a while now.
because like at the end of the movie when they bring Rosewood back, because like Judge Reinhold sits 80% of this movie out. When they bring him back at the end, I was like, is he high? Is he playing like his stoner character from Stripes? What is going on with Judge Reinhold?
Oh, that'd be sad. That'd be tough because that'd be like a Corey Haim, like a Lost Boys 2 kind of thing. That'd be unfortunate.
Okay, yeah. So the early scenes, Billy seemed like normal-ish, and then at the end, I'm just like, he is insane, and I don't know why he is insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm glad they didn't kill Billy. Is my main point, I suppose.
No, absolutely.
Why? So they didn't kill him because he knew where the files were, right? That they were trying to find.
They were looking for this SD
Yeah.
card because there was a camera. Honestly, like early on, much like in the first Beverly Hills Cop movie, I just kind of tapped out of following the crime storyline because I was like, I don't care that much, and this is way more convoluted than I want it to be.
Yeah. So I mean, so basically, what I believe what happened was, the car that Jane's client and the cop that got killed, Copeland, the car that they were in, it had a secret dash cam in the
Right.
air vent, and that camera had an SD card in it.
Right.
And Billy knew that, so he went into the car, he got the SD card, and he hid it. So then after that, the goons caught him, and they're trying to shake him down to say where the SD card is, because the card
Right.
is like kind of proof positive that the bad guy, Nick Grant, played by the great Kevin Bacon,
Right.
it could like really put him away for life.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So, the SD card is basically the MacGuffin of this movie. It's the thing everybody's after. It's really important to the characters. It doesn't really matter to the audience. When Axel, when he goes to Beverly Hills, he goes to Rosewood Investigation, Billy's office, and he sees like these two guys who are like tearing the place apart. And he very cleverly comes in and pretends that he's part of the team that's ransacking the place, that he's been sent to just kind of lean on these guys.
Right.
And that works for like 2 minutes.
But that's a good 2 minutes, because he does get like a business card and some addresses that he can follow up, and he grabs them and puts them in his pocket before the goons wise up.
He tears out a page from Billy's desk calendar. It's got an address in it. And it works up until like one of the goons spots Axel in a picture with Billy on like a fishing trip.
Hey, this is you.
They're like, this is you. And he's like, no, that's Wesley Snipes.
Yeah, handsome motherfucker though, ain't he?
Yeah.
And then we get another car chase, because like after that, Axel makes his escape. He wants to get into his car, but like some meter maid is giving it a ticket, so he just jumps into the meter maid's like little cart.
Her buggy.
Yeah. And meter maid, of course, like holds on and sprays him in the eye with some mace, all to Neutron Dance.
Right, by the Pointer Sisters.
These 80s vibes are like all throughout this film.
Yeah, I loved it.
I did like that. Like, he doesn't just easily steal the meter reader's buggy, and that he gets pepper sprayed. So like half of this chase, he's like half blind, and he's trying to get the pepper spray out of his eyes. I thought that was pretty good. It's a good combination of action and funny.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Then he gets arrested by two lady cops. One of the lady cops is Eddie Murphy's actual daughter. I think I believe Bria Murphy, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I read that.
Yeah. And
did you notice it? Like when he's getting arrested, Axel says, "Like I've been a cop for 30 years," and I was like, "You've been a cop for 40, dude. What is going on? Why are you shaving it down to 30?"
Little continuity.
Or was that supposed to be an age joke? Maybe.
I don't know. I don't know. I was just
odd.
like, everybody knows that the original Beverly Hills Cop came out in 1984, so like just math.
Yeah, that's. I guess I don't. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. I'm not quite sure where they did that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then he gets taken to the precinct. That's where we meet Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, Bobby Abbott.
Yes, Detective Bobby Abbott.
I really hated his beard in this. Like, I love Joseph Gordon-Levitt, but he looked so weird with this beard. Like, and he looked more tired than usual. Like he's always had like bags.
I thought he looked good in the beard.
Okay, I was. I like kind of like clean shaven Joseph Gordon-Levitt for some reason.
Yeah. Okay, I'm Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I'm pro beard for you. So,
but I see what you mean. He does look a little. I mean, he's an older man now, so he's not the fresh-faced young buck from 500 Days of Summer.
I was going to say, to be fair, I've been following the kid since Angels in the Outfield. So, like, him growing older has been maybe it's like it was my own. I'm projecting onto him, like, oh man, well, you got the beard, Joe. You look old now.
Well, that's it's a good tag for like, I'm mature now. I'm a man. I'm a grown man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Third Rock from the Sun was a long time ago.
Yeah,
Oh
exactly.
wow,
Because
yeah.
that was back in the 90s. That was like 30 years ago, probably.
Woof.
Um,
As long
and
as Axel's been on the force.
yeah, exactly. And he goes through and he says like, "Hey, have you seen your record?" And he goes like, "You were here in 84, 87, 94, not your finest hour,"
You
which is
caught that
nice.
too, right?
Yeah, cute little meta joke about Beverly Hills Cop 3 not working so hot. Um, that
But
was
what's
cute.
wild is that he's been back. He just hasn't done police duty, I'm guessing, when he's gone back. Because,
Right.
like Billy Jane calls Billy Uncle Billy. Like they clearly
Uh-huh.
stayed in touch and went on trips and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it's just odd that it's like, it made it seem like he hadn't been in Beverly Hills in like 30 something years.
Well, I guess he'd been other visits and he didn't get into trouble on those cuz like they give the backstory later when he's having a fight with Jane. So I guess Axel married somebody in Beverly Hills and then was living in Beverly Hills, raising his family. Then no, wait. He said he sends the family back to Beverly Hills to keep them safe when he was being targeted by somebody.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So the family was living in Detroit. And then Axel stays in Detroit, and then he stays in Detroit when he gets divorced from Jane's mother.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then she just stayed out there and grew up out there, and I guess he popped in.
right.
Now the two of you say you never saw Beverly Hills Cop 3, right?
Right.
No, well,
So
I haven't seen 2 or 3.
guys, so
And
Beverly Hills Cop 3 is the first one where Axel Foley kind of has a love interest, and that's
okay,
Teresa Randall. She plays a character named Janice Perkins, right?
okay,
And Teresa Randall, beautiful black actress, but the word has been that she hasn't been in the best health because that's why she didn't reprise her role as Martin Lawrence's wife in Bad Boys 4. So there is like for me, I'm thinking that's supposed to be Jane's mom,
hmm
but they didn't bring her back because of whatever reason. Because
okay,
if you look at Teresa Randall and Eddie Murphy, Taylor Page is actually a great casting for their daughter.
okay, cool,
So that was
cool.
like a random thing. I couldn't get out of my head, and I was like, oh, I just wonder if they like didn't want to include any details about the mom just because they weren't able to bring back Teresa Randall, or they were just like it's not that important.
Yeah, you could just assume that Jane's mom is whoever you want it to be. It
Yeah.
could be
Exactly.
Teresa
Yeah.
Randall from Beverly Hills Cop 3. It could be somebody else. Just to backtrack to the file that Joseph Gordon-Levitt is opening, they have actual stills of Foley getting arrested, which I found hilarious. I was like, so there was a still photographer there when he was getting arrested in 1984.
You know.
And I know it's just stills from the first movie, but I found that very funny.
Yeah, somebody had a camera around.
Beverly Hills Cop. They send a stills photographer out when you get arrested. I,
Habits. It's so crazy. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and they had a nice still of like Rosewood and Taggart training their guns, or maybe it was 2 of them anyway. Yeah, I guess it was Eddie Murphy next to Judge Reinhold. I think that was it, but. And then when Axel's like sitting at Detective Abbott's desk, he just like gets out of handcuffs because like Axel's like Harry Houdini now apparently.
Yeah, did he ever do that in any of the other movies, or like just get
I
out
don't
of handcuffs like
think
that?
so.
Yeah,
But remember, he keeps saying, like I was, I forgot what his line was.
he
Used to be,
said
but it was
something like I had a misspent
before a
youth.
cop. Yeah, or I had I had a life before I was a cop or something like that.
Right, and we know from the first one that he had some childhood friends that were kind of shady. So yeah, and apparently Axel learned how to escape handcuffs.
I mean, I get it makes sense. I think
Okay,
if it's believable enough, it's like, yeah, he's a bit of a rascal. He would know how to
yeah,
get out of handcuffs.
and it's
It's not
obviously a setup for when he gets out of handcuffs
Yes.
later.
exactly. That's what I was going to say. Like, there's never a time I believe when the villain had him in handcuffs in any of the Beverly Hills movies until this one. So it makes sense.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, he does get arrested a few times. I'm just like I guess part of me is like, if you could do that all the time, why weren't you doing this all the time in the previous 40 years? But whatever. He can get out of handcuffs now.
Yeah, he leveled up,
Yeah.
and it also
Um,
it's a good thing for another future scene where, like, because when him and his daughter meet up and they talk about how, yeah, I forgot about all that other stuff you taught me when I was a kid, like how to do this and this, and like all the stuff basically he
all the
taught her.
cop stuff. Yeah, like
So
how to take a room, how to
yeah,
he trained her in all this cop
yeah,
stuff that
and
she's
how
done her
and
best to
yeah,
forget.
yeah, and how to get out of handcuffs. So like when we
Yeah,
see her get out of handcuffs later on, it's like, oh, okay, that's
Yep.
yeah,
got it.
and Axel also, like, he kind of does a little Sherlock scan of Joseph Gordon-Levitt's desk, and he's like, "Oh, hey, you used to be a helicopter pilot. Why'd you stop doing that?"
Oh my god,
And
that's
Joseph
one of the
Gordon-Levitt's
funniest.
like, "Yeah, we're not fucking doing this. You're not like
Yeah.
distracting me with stuff from my bio and impinging on my manhood. To let's talk about the subject at hand." And I like that.
Yeah, but that's one of the funniest payoffs in a while I've seen in the action comedy. Like the third act when that comes into play was so funny to me.
Yeah,
That was pretty good. That was
When
pretty
he's
yeah,
like, he gives a reason why he doesn't do it anymore, and Eddie
hmm
Murphy's like, "Oh god."
good. Oh
yeah,
no!
yeah. And so, since Axel's been arrested, he calls up Jane, who hangs up on him. Calls her again, hangs up on him again, and eventually he persuades her to come down and pick him up. And then we find out that Jane is an ex of Bobby's.
Right.
So
Yeah.
and Axel immediately goes into dad mode. He's like, "Have you two had intercourse?"
It's like, why did he say it like that? Intercourse.
Hey, he's going into dad mode.
Okay. All right. But yeah, I mean, Taylor Page and Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I think they had some okay chemistry. It wasn't.
I bought him as exes.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
It was a little awkward, but I do want to shout out whoever did the costume design, the costume design and wardrobe for this cast, because and for the first like real like prominent female character in this series, I would say that like they made Taylor Page look amazing in like her various outfits. I thought that she was incredibly fashionable and like
Mhm.
I thought that was cool just to make sure that she had extra attention in that regard.
Well,
Because
she's
a
a
lot of
lawyer
the
in
dudes were
Beverly
just like,
Hills, so yeah,
yeah,
she has to
exactly.
look good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I will say this: like the scenes with Taylor Page and Eddie Murphy, I thought were really good. I thought the two of them had some pretty good chemistry there.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, their relationship actually worked because of their chemistry.
Yeah.
Like you get to see her side of it about like how he wasn't around, and so he had so all this resentment grew, but like he kind of explains he had to stay away for certain reasons, and like I definitely sort of bought the sort of animosity between them, but then as the movie went on, like them sort of coming to some amends and getting closer, and the two of them do have really good back and forth.
hmm hmm
I thought it was a strong part of the movie.
So then we meet Taggart again. John Ashton comes back, and that's when we get into him saying like, "Yeah, I unretired because I wasn't in the third movie." And he introduces him to Kevin Bacon, who's playing Captain Grant.
Yeah, with
Kind of
that shitty grin, and you're like, okay, he's the bad guy.
one.
Yeah, it's again, this is another '80s movies trope where you can immediately spot the bad guy just right away. He's like the slick talking, slick dressed
Yeah.
dude.
Right.
And it's like,
Well, also, like, he's too famous to be anything but the villain in this movie.
Yeah, I gotta say, I love like the past few years of Kevin Bacon's career. Like, I just saw Maxine a few weeks ago. He's so
Mhm.
great in that, in like a villainous role. And then, what he did in the Guardians of the Galaxy like Christmas special, like
Oh yeah, that was
just
fun.
seeing Kevin Bacon just thriving, and like I think he's like 60, late 60s, right? Like he's
Probably
around
something like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
like it's just awesome, like to know that like that kind of actor like has that longevity, and just
hmm
it's so great to see him in a fun villainous role, because sometimes he can go a little bit too serious and it's scary, like a River Wild kind of thing.
hmm
But
hmm
it was fun seeing him like just clearly smarmy, terrible, corrupt dude.
He can play a good smarmy dude. Yeah.
yeah, no, he's
And for my money,
He's a good
best.
smarmy cop in Wild
Yeah.
Things. If you've never seen Wild
Oh
Things.
yes, for
Ooh.
sure. Oh, I've seen Wild Things.
Oh,
Jeff.
Okay. Yeah.
I've seen Wild Things.
but
Heterosexual men in the last 30 years. Yeah, we've seen Wild Things.
But I will say, after having rewatched all the movies in the series, I think he's the best villain in the series, because
Mhm.
he actually has like somewhat of a backstory, like in some of his like soliloquies
Yeah.
that actually like gave you a little bit of layer. It was almost like he was Ed Harris's character from The Rock, but without the redemption,
Mhm.
or the attempt at redemption. Like I actually enjoyed that.
Yeah. 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 I liked like late in the movie. He's talking to Axel, and he's like, "Hey, have you ever gotten shot on the job?" And he's like, "Yeah, I got shot here." And I've been on the force for 30 years, just like you, Axel, because you've been on the force for 30 years, and and I can't even afford to live in the city where I serve.
I got shot
I
in. Yeah.
mean, I
That I
absolutely
got shot
understand
in.
that. I mean,
Yeah.
I had a studio apartment in Studio City and was paying over $2,000 a month. So
Oh,
Hmm.
I completely understand that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I also like that one scene, like you just mentioned, John, where again another '80s trope where the villain's like, we're not so different, you and I.
Yeah.
Like that type of thing. I always get a kick out of.
Yeah. All it would take would be a push to bring you out of the light and into the shadows with me.
Never.
Yeah. Um,
Well, yeah,
so,
yeah. So I mean, then after that, after Jane and Axel kind of reunite, they go to the impound lot where Billy was last seen, and looking for clues, and then that's where they
mhm,
find out about the hidden camera in the car.
right.
They have like a nice little scene where the guy who runs the impound lot is actually a aspiring actor.
Right. Yeah. Axel spots all these headshots lined up, and he's like, "Oh, this guy's an actor." So I'm going to pretend I'm scouting for a movie, and like half this movie is just Axel BSing his way into places.
Yeah, because
But also showing the limits of that now. Like, Jane has to kind of save him at
Hmm.
times just because it's easy to call BS on this stuff now, especially with technology and like a lot of young people just not caring.
Right.
yes,
I like that she had to interject herself sometimes.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. I liked that a lot of times they did like the setup for the standard old Beverly Hills Cop bit, and then a lot of times they found a twist on it. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, and like you said, Brandon, like there's a lot of times where Jane has to step in and bail him out because like then there's that one scene where they go to the social club where they know that those goons that have been following them are at, and like Eddie Murphy, does his best, bullshitting he can, but then the concierge at the front isn't buying it, and then Jane kind of steps in and she does her bullshitting, kind of, backing up Eddie Murphy's bullshitting, and
Hmm.
they're able to get in because like she's
Yeah.
kind of showing that she's kind of learned from her dad, like knows
Right.
how to bullshit
I
people.
I also liked like kind of late in the movie, Eddie Murphy he goes to a hotel and he starts in on his sort of like his Rolling Stone bit from the first movie, where he's there in town to interview Michael Jackson, and he pretends his reservation got screwed up, but he starts that and then he's just like, look, I'm just really tired. I just need a room. And they're like, it's $900. And he's like, I love Beverly Hills. And I kind of like that he just dropped the BS. That was fun.
Yeah, it's a nice little honest moment there.
Yeah. I don't know why you didn't go to an affordable hotel, but whatever. Okay.
Yeah, it's got a red roof, man.
Yeah.
What, you too good for red roof?
So yeah, I think this is around the part of the movie where I just was like, I'm just not going to understand the whole crime plot of this. So I kind of stopped trying to understand it. If you guys understand it and you can explain it to me, feel free.
Yeah. I mean, it was a little convoluted. I mean, we learned that
Yes.
Grant is behind the whole thing, of
Right.
course,
And
but
he's working with the cartels.
yeah,
Right.
They don't close the loop on it though. I think that's probably what like confused you a little bit, John. Is like because I was thinking about that too. The way that the movie kind of wraps things up, you're like, well, the cartel isn't just these 5 dudes that try to kill Jane and Axel. It's like it's way more
No,
than
no,
that.
no. It's a 5 dudes in the cartel. That sounds about right. Yeah.
um,
We're like 3/5 of a cartel right now,
that's
guys.
right. We're getting there.
yeah,
We could form a cartel right after this recording.
yeah, but it's all
I'm
connected
just
to
throwing it
Jane's
out there.
case, right?
Yeah.
It's connected to Jane's case because her client was framed for the murder of a corrupt cop, right?
Yes.
And
Okay.
there's an SD card that has footage that exonerates Jane's client, and that's what
Right.
Billy was investigating, and that's what Kevin Bacon and his like people from the cartel are trying to shut down. And
Mhm.
so it's really like the Axel story is a lot smaller, but it's part of a bigger thing that probably will lead to maybe the next movie because I guess Eddie Murphy wants to make another one.
Yeah, they're planning a 5th one, which kind of surprises me, but okay.
Yeah, and so I think it obviously they show us the stakes immediately because when Jane has her car thrown over the side of that building, that was a pretty intense scene where she gets threatened and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
you're like, okay, these guys are clearly not playing around. They also know how engineering works, which is very impressive. And so, but it was also like at times they did really silly like stuff that didn't make any sense, like in regards to make mistakes that Axel was able to track them down so easily. I don't know. I understand what you're saying, John. Like it's very like what's going on? Like why is this such a mess?
Yeah,
Hard to
my
follow.
basic feeling is I felt like the crime plot of it was more complex or convoluted than it needed to be. I just needed like a simple thing and just an excuse for Eddie Murphy to go in and do the bits. So,
Yeah. Like I will say that it's one of those things where it was like very kind of 80s vibes throughout it, but I feel like maybe they needed to have like a simpler 80s,
yeah.
backstory for like why the bad guy is doing what the bad guys and what they're
But
actually doing.
I also had that reaction when we rewatched the first one last year, Darren. Was at a certain point I was just like, okay, I give up on understanding this. This is just more than I want to follow. So
All right, fair enough. Fair enough.
I think it's just in an action comedy, there are limits as to how complex I want the plot to be. It doesn't have to be freaking Chinatown, you know?
Yeah, doesn't have to be that.
That's fair. That's fair.
complicated.
Yeah.
But what if it was? I mean, what if this is to set up the next movie and they already have an idea, which would be interesting. Eddie already talked about, and Foley already talked about in this movie how he moved Jane to Beverly Hills to protect his family, and then
Mhm.
you have the head of the cartel now going after Axel and his family. That's a huge emotional hook, right, for the audience, for Axel,
Okay, yeah,
and
I see what
really
you're
raises
saying.
the stakes, especially if that maybe is his swan song officially as Axel Foley. I think that could be a interesting way to wrap this whole thing up.
That's a thought. Yeah. I mean, because it wasn't until after I finished the movie that I started reading up on this movie. So I had no idea they were planning a fifth one until after I finished the movie. So if they're like planting seeds for another movie in the series in this one, that makes a little more sense to me. Yeah.
No, absolutely, absolutely. But yeah. So I mean, we see going forward, like it's the two of them, Jane and Axel, trying to solve this case. Of course, we also get that one scene where we see like Bobby is kind of piecing together that something's not right with this
Hmm.
whole Billy Rosewood case, and then we get another kind of insane shootout in the street with the cartel and Jane and Axel in the car, and then we see like Billy kind of come up on behind them, and
Bobby.
Bobby, right? Sorry,
Yep.
Yeah.
Bobby, Billy,
Joseph Gordon Levitt.
Joseph
Just call him by the actor names.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt come up there, and just like straight up shootout happening in the middle of Beverly Hills, and Bobby just like straight up murking motherfuckers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And like right before this, there's like Jane is kind of tweaking Axel. She's like, "You don't even know how old I am." Do
Oh
you?"
yeah, yeah.
And Axel's like, and he's kind of like, you get the feeling that he doesn't know, and it's like,
Yeah, he's hemming and hawing.
you can't remember at least the year. I mean, but after he goes like, your birthday's March 24th, and you're 32 years old. And it's like, oh, he's a good dad after all. He knows how old his daughter is, which is like, that's like the base level of being a good dad, I think.
He knows her daughter's birthday. Father of the year. Father
Yeah.
of the year.
He remembers she was born 32 years ago. Yay. Which I guess means he had a 2-year-old in Beverly Hills Cop 3?
Oh.
Oh, they
Hmm.
see. I think now we're getting to the continuity issue.
Yeah.
They definitely didn't mention anything about a kid.
Yeah. Or maybe we're just like retroactively saying that Beverly Hills Cop 3. No, they said it took place in 94
Mhm.
in this movie.
Yep.
So does this movie take place in the future? What the hell's going on?
I don't know. Oh boy. Yeah. So like,
Did they have a kid and then travel back in time 2 years?
it's a time traveling baby.
He really wanted to keep her safe, so he not only sent her to Beverly Hills, he took her back in time 2 years so the bad guys really wouldn't find her.
Yeah, it's like X-Men '97.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, she's
That's a good comp.
yeah, she's like Cable.
I love how Darren's like, I can see like someone like Darren in the studio saying that, like, guys, it's fine. We'll just X-Men 97 this shit. It's fine.
And everybody's like, what the fuck are you talking about, nerd?
I mean, honestly, it's fine. It doesn't bug me in a big way. I just think it's kind of weird that they both say that she's 32 years old, and they say that Beverly Hills Cop 3 took place in 1994.
Hey man, car chase, bang bang, gunfight.
Car chase, bang bang.
Gunfights. Look at this, gunfights.
Anyway, we're bringing Bronson Pinchot back as Serge. That's cool, right?
For this,
that scene went on too long.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean, I get why people love the character, and I did think he was funnier in this than he was in Beverly Hills Cop 3. That was madness. What
did he have to do in Beverly Hills Cop?
In Beverly Hills Cop 3, he goes from being like working at the art gallery to he's like an arms dealer.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
what?
And he hooks up like Foley with like this huge rocket launcher kind of thing, and that's like what breaks into the third act. It's completely it's completely insane. That's why he mentions it. I think when they meet up, he mentions like, "Oh, I'm not in guns anymore" or something. It's such a crazy character arc.
That totally went over my head. What the?
Yeah,
what the hell? Sir,
I did think that mansion scene.
It's a natural progression,
It's so crazy.
It's a lateral move.
That is even weirder than Louis Tully going from an accountant to a lawyer to a defense attorney in Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah.
It's so funny when they just plug a character into whatever occupation they need for the story they're telling now.
It's like,
Hollywood, baby.
Yeah. He was an art dealer? What? Art, guns, same thing. Can deal art, deal guns.
Yeah, I guess so. Okay, that's weird. Him saying I'm not in guns anymore, that totally went over my head. I think I missed that.
And we also get another SNL connection with Nasim Pedrad as the real estate agent.
Yeah, I did not know she was in this at all. I wasn't expecting her. I was like, wait, is that Nasim Pedrad? And I was recognizing her more from the voice because I think they did like a little bit of makeup on her in this to make it look like she'd had a facelift.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope so.
I'm trying to say this diplomatically because I have no idea if Nasim Pedrad has had a facelift or not. I'm guessing not. But her character seemed to have that sort of weird tightness to the face that somebody who's had a facelift has.
Yeah, I could see that being for the character.
I mean, regardless, her comic timing is still spot on. She's
hilarious.
She's really funny in that moment. I just think it went on a little bit too long, especially with the whole Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Taylor Page pretending to be a married couple. Blah blah blah. Like, I was just like, we can get through this quicker, y'all. Like,
yeah. I feel like a lot of the scenes in this movie, particularly by this point in the movie, could have been cut down. It should be a tighter movie. This movie should be like hour and a half, hour 45 max, but it's like an hour 55 minutes, which is just way too long for an action comedy like this.
Yeah, I see what you mean. They could have tightened this up a little bit, like especially like when the two of them are put, Bobby and Jane as they're posing as a married couple, and then they kiss to keep up the ruse. I was like, well, all right, that's cool and all, but is it necessary for keep this movie going?
Not really.
Not really. But I agree with you. Nasim Pedrad, I thought was pretty hilarious in this scene.
I mean, yeah, she's got a thing. She's talking about like, oh yeah, my kid's a loser. He wears glasses. He's only 4, but you can tell. I mean, yeah, she's just killing it.
Yeah, she's got some chop. But the reason they're going into this house to pretend to want to buy it is because they want to get into the mansion next door. That's where Axel goes into, and he finds the car that smashed into Copeland's car, and and he finds some more evidence. But then he gets mad, and they find out there's some security cameras, and he knows that they know that he's there.
And by the way, apparently the mansion that they're checking out in Nasim Pedrad's scene is the mansion from the climax of the first movie. So it's like Victor Maitland's mansion.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
I read that on the IMDb trivia, and I'm like, oh, that's neat. I didn't recognize the place, but that's neat.
I thought it looked familiar, because it looks like one of those, gaudy 1980s, like drug dealer mansions almost.
Yeah. So I guess they just found the same location and shot there. I'm like, oh, that's cool. They didn't have to do that. That's nice. That's a neat little callback.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So then after that scene, they want to go talk to Chelino, who is sort of one of the drug dealer kingpins that Jane's client was working for. And they figure, well, if we talk to Chelino, like he might help us because we're trying to help his nephew get
Right.
out of prison. And then so they go to this kind of really rough and tumble strip club, and we see
Hmm.
Chelino playing by the great Luis Guzman.
Yes,
Luis
Uncle Louie,
Guzman.
as we call him in our house.
What do you call him?
We call him Uncle Louie because he looks like he could be a member of my wife's family.
Oh, okay.
A bunch of Puerto Ricans, and if you saw my wife's uncle and father, you would be like, oh yeah, Luis Guzman could definitely be their brother.
Okay. Yeah, Luis Guzman was another surprise. I did not know he was going to be in this at all. Um, so yeah, that was cool. Again, I'm feeling like the movie's getting kind of long. I don't know if we needed this digression, but
Yeah, that
um,
was a long scene too.
A
yeah,
little
yeah,
bit, yeah. But then we find out that they have a talk, and Chelino tells them that he knows about Grant, and Grant got the crooked cop Copeland killed because he was going to go clean. And then he tells them about this drug deal going on at the port, and they can bust him there. So then as they're about to leave, as they leave the place, and then they go to their car, they get arrested. They get some coke planted on them in the car,
right.
and of course Grant is there, and he takes them all downtown. And then that's when we get the scene where you talk about where it's Grant and Axel. Grant kind of
Hmm.
laying out his reasons why he's doing what he's doing, and he's going dirty. But of
Yeah, basically he's bitter because he's been underappreciated as a cop for however many years.
Yeah, pretty much.
So
But then, of course, Axel gets the drop of him because Axel, of course, can get out of handcuffs at the drop of a hat. And
yes,
him and Bobby escape, but instead of going down to the street, because I think as they're making their escape, the cops realize that they left, so they put the place on lockdown. So they go,
right.
instead of going.
Well, and he fakes out how he escapes because he like opens up a vent in the
Oh
ceiling.
yeah, yeah.
And when they come back into the room, he's like, Kevin Bacon's like looking up into the ceiling, and then Axel's like, you watch too many movies. Apparently, that's something that Axel did in the third one.
Oh, you like walk through the
Do
vents.
you remember that, Brandon?
When he walked through the vents,
Yeah, apparently Axel escapes using going through a vent in the
I
ceiling at
think
some point in
maybe
the
in
third
the
one.
amusement park. Yeah, like when I gotta be honest with you, the third act of the Beverly Hills Cop 3 is reminiscent of like wacky scenes like from Austin Powers. It's really weird.
Okay,
But I think I remember
this
something.
movie sounds so insane. I think I'm going to have to see it now.
It's John, it's so bad though. It's so bad. It's not even fun bad. It's just like, why did they do this? The whole time you're
Okay,
just wondering why did this get made?
Oh
okay.
boy, this sounds.
I mean, we're going to have to sit down and see this at some
I
point here,
guess I
right?
guess so. I guess we're gonna watch Beverly Hills Cop 3, guys.
Yeah, I mean, not immediately, but at some point in the near future, I think,
So
maybe
so
when we have a skip week.
yeah, tune in, listeners, for that.
Yeah, and then we'll watch it, and then I'll be like, "Why the fuck did we watch it?" And you'll say, like, you said you wanted to watch it, and you can play back the recording of it, and we'll have fun.
In theory, this is a good idea, but
Yeah,
in
yeah,
practice, might be another thing.
yeah. I'm sure it's gonna. Yeah, I'm sure I'm gonna be just regretting it immediately.
Yeah.
Uh,
So Axel and Bobby, they go up to the roof to escape, and because Axel has the idea, is like, "Oh, Bobby, you flew helicopters. You can fly this chopper and get us
right.
out of here."
Yeah,
And then, of course, as they get in and try to make their escape, we learn that the reason Bobby doesn't fly anymore is because he got into a bit of an accident, and
Yeah,
and-
he crashed a helicopter, and that's why he
yeah.
left the LAPD.
yeah,
I
So,
started laughing. It's just when he explains it, and like that was the first time when I'm like, okay, now they're actually using Joseph Gordon-Levitt's comedic
yes,
abilities
yeah.
because he was playing it very, very almost too straight until that
Mhm.
point, and he's kind of like frantically like, "It's because I crashed the helicopter," and then Eddie Murphy's reaction to it, I was like, "Oh, this is why they cast these two together." But
Yeah,
put these two together, but how come we didn't get more of this earlier in the movie?
Mm.
You
yeah,
know, like with their
yeah,
chemistry. I don't know if it took them a while to kind of figure out their footing, but I
yeah.
was like,
Maybe it
I
took a
wish,
while for them to get into the groove or
yeah, I
something.
wish
I
their
don't know.
dynamic had been like that the whole time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with that. I see what you're saying there. Like at this point, I'm wondering, like, okay, like they're basically on the run from the cops at this point, and I'm just like, okay, so if he's going rogue or getting suspended for most of this film, why even have Axel still be a cop? Can't he just be doing all this shit on his own without? the cop stuff, especially since he's like at the age where he should probably be retired.
Yeah, we need to solve this case, man. Come on.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, you got to ask Will Beal that because Darren talked about his filmography before this movie, but at the
Right.
same time, I think he wrote Axel F. He also wrote Bad Boys Ride or Die, where you could ask the same question about Mike Lowry. Like you could ask the same question about them, like how are they still cops? Why are they still
Yeah.
cops? Like
Yeah.
this is insane.
Yeah, but I mean, these are these type of cop movies where
Yes.
cops cause all types of death and destruction in their wake, but they
Right.
get their man at the end, so it's all good.
Yeah. I guess I just question that convention a lot more these days because I'm just like, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
John, I'll let you in a little secret in the black community.
Okay.
Okay.
When it's black folks doing this stuff, we give it a huge pass.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, hey,
Yeah.
do what you got to do. Take care of your family, bro.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, because it's like a bit of a wish fulfillment sort of thing.
Not necessarily. It's just like, like, because especially like in the 70s, 80s, you always saw white dudes doing stuff like this and getting away with it, and then them locking up black or brown people. And so
Yeah.
I think, like, starting with like, Beverly Hills Cop and obviously the Bad Boys series, it's like, oh, we get to see black guys, like, or black people, like, act crazy and do what they have to do on the right side of the law, quote unquote.
Right. Well, I mean, isn't that like also kind of part of why black exploitation movies got so huge in the 70s too? Because it was like for the first time, it was like you're seeing the black guys be the big heroes.
Yes,
we can dig it
for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we see. Can you dig it? Yeah. So then we see Bobby just fly this helicopter very poorly through the streets of Beverly Hills. At one point, he lands in front of the Beverly Hills police precinct, and Taggart's like, "What the hell? Is that you? Bob, you flying a helicopter in front of my precinct?"
I can't imagine the clearances they must have gone through to do that.
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God.
how did they pull this off? I don't know.
Yeah.
This doesn't feel like a Netflix movie. It feels like a big budget thing. Were they planning to release this thing theatrically at some point?
That's the issue. That's like what I thought. I saw a few think pieces about it when Axel F came out, and my co-host and I talked about it. Like, that's the issue with Netflix and Netflix acquiring these projects, is that they don't care about having a theatrical release. And this definitely could have done really well if it had that. I think this and Hitman could have been pretty good hits for Netflix if they actually invested in theatrical.
I know they picked up, they got, when Knives Out was a big hit, Netflix picked up the rights to the next two Benoit Blanc movies, and they've already released Glass Onion. Glass Onion had literally a 2-week theatrical window.
Yep, I went to it.
And I made a point of seeing that in the theater because I was like, I'm seeing this fucker on the big screen, and I loved it. And actually,
it did well.
Yeah, and I actually just a week or two ago, I showed my housemate Kim. I showed him the original Knives Out, and he was like, "Oh, that was excellent." And I was like, "Okay, great. I gotta show him Glass Onion now too." I can't find it on DVD or Blu-ray right now because it's still Netflix exclusive, which is annoying.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a scary thing. Like after hearing what happened with like a lot of content on Max, I'm terrified for the longevity and archival archives of this work. You know what I mean? Because what's to say 10 years from now, Netflix isn't doing well financially, they just start purging their own original content or things they acquired, and then no one has a physical copy of any of this stuff.
Right. And that's happened with, Warner Brothers. Is just like they had a completed Batgirl movie that was actually done by two of the guys who were previously attached to this movie.
Yeah, the directors of the last two Bad Boys.
Right. And I don't have their names immediately handy right now. So, but yeah, they shot and completed this Batgirl movie, and then Warner Brothers was like, "Oh no, we want the tax write-off, so we're just not releasing this, and we are deleting it." And they did the same thing with Coyote versus Acme, which is supposedly this great thing with Wile E. Coyote.
Yeah. And
it had Will Forte in it, and it sounds like really cool. It's probably never going to see the light of day. That's so terrifying, man.
Yeah, I mean, think about the stuff that's been taken off that Warner's has taken off on Max, like original programming. There's this show that I really enjoyed with William Harper Jackson, the second season. I think it was called Love Life or something like that. And it's gone. and you cannot find, like, I can find it through like weird streaming platforms that aren't exactly on the up and up, but you couldn't if you like you just wanted to go through the regular channels of like maybe
Yeah.
buying a DVD or even renting it from Apple or whatever. You can't do that.
There
It's
was some
insane.
show with Kristen Milioti that I heard was good, and I wanted to check that out. That's been removed from Max, and it's not landed anywhere else. And it's just like, yeah, it's just I can't see it.
Yeah, and I actually, Brandon, I did see that show, the Love Life, because like the first season was Anna Kendrick, and then the second season
Yes.
it focused on William Jackson Harper and Jessica Williams. Both seasons were really good, like really strong. Like
That's a
shows.
great show.
And now it's just like in the ether, like it never happened. That's a bummer.
Yeah.
But
It's
all that's to circle back and say that Netflix could have made a lot of money if they had invested in theatrical for XOF. And I actually think it hurts.
Yeah, I think this film should have been in the theaters for sure.
yeah. I think it could have done well, and it'd also be nice if they'd issue it on physical media after a certain window where it's Netflix exclusive. But I don't think they're about that. But I mean, maybe when the contract is up, hopefully. But
I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I want to own I want to own a copy of Glass Onion on Blu-ray, man.
Yeah,
Like if you release that on Blu-ray, I will fucking buy it.
They do that. They do that for critics. Like, I got the Glass Onion. This is actually really cool that Netflix does do. Like, I'm not a hater on Netflix or anything. I just wish they did theatrical.
Yeah.
But they sent the press for your consideration package that's in the shape of the box that they sent, to the people.
Oh,
Glass
that's
Onion.
cool.
It was really cool. And then inside they have like a DVD copy and like a bunch of other cool swag stuff. But yeah, like that was cool.
So what I'm hearing is I'm going to have to go over to your house to watch it.
right.
Come on over, guys. We'll watch it.
All right.
Send us your address.
Okay, so anyway, they end up crashing the helicopter. They bring it down at a golf course, and then we have Christopher McDonald in there as a golfer. Is he playing Shooter McGavin?
That's what he's dressed exactly like Shooter. He talks like
Shooter. Excuse me.
Like, yeah. And I'm like, I remember turning to my wife and like, wait, is this his character or is this him? It was very weird.
I feel like it's a lawyer-friendly cameo. Like they didn't have the rights to call him Shooter McGavin, but they're doing everything they can to imply that it is.
Yeah, he's not Shooter McGavin. He's Pooter McMahon. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
that's the ticket.
I mean, there is something that like kind of like warrants my heart a little bit to think that this could be in the same world as Happy Gilmore, just because there's some potential funny cameo things you could do real quick with that. But it was just so random.
It was really random. He was just like, "Wait, what? Why is he here?" I mean, I'm not upset that he's here, but it's kind of confusing.
It did disorient me a little bit. Where I was like, "What? Wait, what is this?"
Yeah, and then
are they friends though? Are like Christopher McDonald and Eddie Murphy friends from like the SNL days or something like that? I'm just trying to think like what's the
I don't know when would their paths have crossed.
Yeah, but what leads to this random role? I mean, I guess it was in the script maybe, but that was a very odd moment. Like because it didn't really add to the story.
I want to know the backstory. I feel like there's a good 20-minute YouTube video we could get on that of like how did Christopher McDonald end up in this movie?
Yeah, it was a weird one.
He's had another great career resurgence with Hacks. He's great on Hacks.
He's very good. Hacks is a great
show.
I like it quite a bit.
And he's in a very famous episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation, Yesterday's Enterprise. So maybe he was the one who took Eddie Murphy's daughter back in time to protect her from the cartel.
That was a deep pool.
Ooh.
Yeah. He took her back in time with Tasha Yar. Star Trek fans are loving this right now.
Loving it.
Loving it.
But either way, so after that, we see Jane talking to Taggart about everything that's going on, and as she leaves, then she gets kidnapped by the goons, and like
wait, are we just totally skipping over Eddie Murphy stealing the golf cart?
Oh right, yeah, there was that too. He's always stealing carts.
This movie has a lot of Eddie Murphy stealing slow-moving vehicles.
Yeah,
we got the golf cart, we've got the meter reader's buggy, and we've got the snowplow thing early on.
Well, the meter buggy that works because if he had anything bigger, he would have killed multiple people.
Yes,
because those I don't know if you all ever shopped in Beverly Hills, but like it's really tight. and like by in those fashion streets, and so like that made sense, and it actually made me laugh a lot because those rich people would not know what to do with themselves dealing with
Yeah.
that situation.
Yeah.
Look at Brandon flexing, saying he shops on Beverly Hills.
I
No,
know. Big
did I
old
say shop?
brag.
I meant window shop. I missed I missed the word there. It's just
Sure, you did.
Okay.
You know that medium popcorn money is coming in. You're flush with cash.
And I liked when Eddie is trying to convince
The valet.
the valet. He's like, "Hey, let me have a vehicle," and the guy's like, "No, why am I going to do this? Because we're brothers."
Yeah, come on,
He's
brother.
like, "I'm going to lose my job."
Come on,
I
brother.
like how he's logically arguing. No, I cannot do this.
Come on.
That was who's the comedian? Is that that's not Avon Crockett, right?
Yes, that's it.
Oh, it was okay. That was a little funny scene because that's very real. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
come on, hook me up. Let me commit a crime. It's like I'm not getting fired just because you also black. That's insane.
Yeah, I like that. I like when I like the movie when it was taking like those basic movie conventions and then applying a little real world logic to them. I find that sort of thing very, very funny. So I thought that was a very funny scene. I thought, maybe it's a little too late in the movie for it.
Yeah.
I'm like, we really should be barreling towards a climax now.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of are, right? Because at this point, we see that
Yeah.
Jane gets kidnapped, and then after that, Bobby and Axel go to the port where Luis Guzman's character told them to go, and then they find Billy, and then they find a truck full of cocaine, and then they bust out Billy, another 80s trope, a big shootout during a drug bust by the docks, and then they commandeer a truck, they steal another vehicle, and then they just bust out of the port with a truck full of cocaine.
Yeah. And yeah, this is like, Judge Reinhold's finally back in the movie, and we don't even have cutaways to him like during the movie, just to kind of remind us that he's been kidnapped and being tortured and in peril. It's just he disappears, and then we don't see him again until they rescue him.
Yeah, that was an interesting choice.
Which is, it's just kind of weird. I just like, we could have had like a quick thing in the middle, just kind of to remind us that Billy's still in the mix, and
just to show
put Judge Reinhold in the movie a little bit more.
Yeah, just to show.
Yeah, I definitely thought Billy was dead.
Yeah,
yeah, I was 100% thinking that Billy Rosewood was dead, and we were going to have to avenge his death.
Yeah, I mean, they could have done that just to show the stakes a little bit more.
Well, I mean, I'm just glad because I like Judge Reinhold, and I would hate to see his character get killed off. But
yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, I really thought the movie was going towards that. I did like when they're saying like, "Oh, well, we need backup," and Joseph Gordon-Levitt's like, "Well, we've just stolen a car or a truck that's full of cocaine. We shouldn't call for backup." And then Axel just sideswipes a police car and takes the door off, and that's their backup.
To get their attention, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because at this point, that's where Grant gets in touch with Axel saying, "Hey, I got your daughter. Come meet me here at this place. Bring the SD card, or else you're never going to see her alive again."
Yeah. And Axel's like, that's not much of a threat. I was out of touch with her for like 5 years. So
yeah, that'd be hilarious.
Doesn't make a huge bit of difference in my life.
What movie did they actually did that strategy?
Did they?
There's a movie where someone said that. They're like, "Oh, I actually don't care about this person." Oh, like they were obviously bluffing, but it was a way to like drop the guard of the villain. Shoot,
that does sound familiar. So I feel like this is a movie I've seen.
Like Ruthless People, maybe.
I don't think so.
I don't know. Anyway, we'll figure it out later on.
But that'd be wild. He was just like, "I don't care."
Whatever.
Yeah,
I don't care. Well, whatever.
So then we have Billy and Bobby and Axel in the truck.
Mm-hmm.
They drive the truck into the mansion.
Right.
And then just a big old shootout, just 80s style, bullets flying everywhere. Taggart comes in.
Yep.
He slides in. It's like, gotta get a piece of this action. Just shotgun, shotgun bang. What's up with that thing? And it's just 80s action film, just all over the joint.
By the way, I was thinking about Tropic Thunder. That's what it was.
Tropic Thunder, where it's like, I don't care about this person?
Yeah, when Tug Speedman gets kidnapped by that crew, and they call Tom Cruise's character, and he's like, I don't care. Like he just hangs up, and they're like, "Wait, what?" Remember, he's like, "Oh, we're actually make more money on the insurance and saving him."
Yes, we are Flaming Dragon. Yes, I remember
Yeah.
that.
Oh, okay, all right.
Tropic Thunder is such a fantastic film.
Okay, well, thankfully that's quieted down all the people who are shouting Tropic Thunder at us listening to the podcast. Like, Tropic Thunder, you fucking idiots!
Somebody in their car on the way to work just losing it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's Tropic Thunder.
I was a little sorry that we didn't get Taggart and Billy together again until the very end, until the climactic shootout, because like those two play off each other so well. I would have liked a little more of that in the movie.
Yeah, that's true. But you know what I sometimes think about is like, we see characters that have great chemistry on screen, but how much do the actors actually like each other? You know what I mean? And it'd be this is where my mind goes. It's like, wouldn't it be crazy if like they actually had beef because Judge did Beverly Hills Cop 3, knowing that the guy who played Taggart didn't do it because of contract and like money.
Yeah, like so maybe one of them said, "I'll do the movie if I don't have to share the screen with that guy much."
Or they just did it like when like maybe they the guy who plays Taggart was like, "Oh, I thought we were doing this together. Like we shouldn't have these characters without each other. Like damn, you just did the movie without me." And then they forced them back together 30 plus years and like now have the same chemistry you did 30 years ago. At least you're the best of friends.
Yeah,
but actors are insane, so they can do it.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. I mean, we don't know. Yeah. Maybe one of them could have had beef. Maybe they're best of friends. We don't know. We have no idea. And,
no idea.
Yeah.
But
anyway.
Yeah. But the two of them, Billy and Taggart, they kind of make up because they talk about how Billy left the force because Taggart wouldn't back him up over a certain case.
Over the case that the movie's about. Over the case with Jane's client. That's like the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so Billy's like just recently left the force, apparently.
Oh, that's right, because this is the first time. So, and it's because Taggart believes Kevin Bacon because they like, they have a long history together, like golfing and other stuff, right?
Right, yeah. He's like, oh, I brought him up. And at one point, like early in the movie, Axel says like, well, maybe you're dirty just like Grant. And Taggart's like, oh, well, it's like that, 40 years of friendship. And oh, yeah. And I was like, they're not really going to make Taggart be a bad guy.
Well, that was what's interesting about actually watching this. And I'm glad you brought this up because in the second Beverly Hills Cop 2, movie, Taggart is best friends, spoiler, everybody, with who's revealed to be like the bad guy. Like that's a good friend of his. So it's like, for me, like when Justin and I were watching this, this is the second time they're doing this. But what if Taggart really is the bad guy? That could be an interesting twist. Obviously, that didn't happen, but
you think they're going to do that in the fifth movie now?
I don't think so, but this is the first time we were generally like, "Oh, is Taggart actually going to be a bad dude?"
Yeah,
because I remember. Okay, do you guys remember like Another 48 Hours?
Not really.
That's been a long time ago.
Like, okay, I'm gonna spoil the end of Another 48 Hours. At the end of that, we realized that the guy who played Nick Nolte's partner, like his cop partner in the first movie, he's actually one of the bad guys in the second.
Oh,
okay,
yeah, okay,
and that's their big twist. So yeah, I was wondering like, or are they doing something like that?
It could still happen for sure.
Yeah. I'm kind of glad I'd hate it if they did that just because I like John Ashton and so much in that part as Taggart.
I mean, it seemed like they flirted with that because there was that one scene where Axel asked Taggart, like, said, well, maybe you're dirty. Maybe you're in on the
Yeah, see, I thought that was weird that we just have that and then it doesn't quite go anywhere. So I'm just wondering, is that some sort of foreshadowing?
And Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character has a similar scene, too, with Taggart later in the movie. So it's like, okay, they keep hinting that maybe Taggart is finally dirty.
Right.
But, like, it doesn't come to pass. And I wonder if there maybe was, a part, like, a take on the script where that they did explore that. And they were just like, oh, that's too dark, or that'll upset fans too much, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. It's weird. I mean, not as weird as like Serge becoming an arms dealer. I'm still like so
wild,
freaked out by that. That's just wild.
That is wild. So then, like I said, big shootout in a mansion. At one point, Grant is doing coke, like straight up 80s style again.
Yeah,
just doing a bump. And then I think we see Jane actually getting out the handcuffs because of it's a trick Axel taught her.
Right.
And
Yeah. She's Harry Houdini's kid.
yeah,
So yeah.
absolutely. Then Axel kind of has his gun drawn on Grant. And I think at one point, Grant is about to shoot Jane, but then
Mhm.
Axel does this thing that's in all the other 80s movies where he, jumps in front of the bullet, like, no.
Yeah. You dive in front. No. Yeah.
Yeah, and he
Yeah.
takes a bullet for Jane, and then
Yeah.
Hmm.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character ends up shooting Grant in the head and taking him down.
Shoots Joseph Gordon-Levitt shoots Kevin Bacon right in the head. That was a little more graphic than I was expecting, honestly.
It was a little gruesome. It was a little gruesome, a little bit.
Yeah,
But
that was a good fake headshot, I will say. I
Yeah.
was like, oh my, okay, I guess Kevin Bacon's not coming back in the fifth one. One and done for Kevin Bacon. He's like, all right, you can connect me with these people in 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon now. My work here is done. Boom.
done. Yeah, so then a few days later, we see Axel is in the hospital, resting up from his bullet wound. His
Yeah,
daughter, Jane, goes to visit him, and of course, he sees he's not there because he left to go to the diner across the street to
right.
get like real good food instead of the hospital food. And they focus on the diner Norm. Is that like a famous diner, or was it in one of the other previous movies?
I have no idea.
You didn't go window shopping for diners,
No, I
when you were out in
did.
Beverly
Unfortunately,
Hills?
I didn't have that kind of time.
Okay, all right.
But then so it's the two of them in a diner, and they actually have a really good scene, and they actually kind of reconcile and realize like, yeah, like I messed up. I'm sorry I wasn't there. He apologizes, which Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character talks about how he's estranged from his dad, and how when he finally did apologize for all the horrible things he did, like that meant a lot. So, what you call it? Axel ends up apologizing, and the two of them are sort of on better ground now, and like they're starting
Mhm.
to mend their relationship a bit. And then we cut to a scene where it's Billy and Taggart doing a stakeout in front of the same hotel that.
Yeah, it's basically a remake of the scene from the first film.
Yeah, I expect.
Yeah.
And Billy even calls him Sarge.
I think that's just.
Oh, I didn't see that.
I think.
but-
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think he just does that just because it's just like it's just out of habit.
Yeah, like it's his nickname or something.
I
I don't
guess
know.
so.
It's just kind of weird. I was like, well, he's the chief now, but all right.
Yeah,
But I don't know. I'm watching that and I'm just like, okay, I know I wanted to see more of Billy and Taggart, but why is this scene necessary at all?
it was a little weird. Yeah, and then like you said, like Axel hops in the back seat like he did in the first film.
Right.
And then they talk about how they were there to stake him out and surveilling him just to make sure he doesn't go out and the hospital and leave again to get a burger. And then Axel talks them all into just going, let's all go to a steakhouse and get some food to eat. And then that's it. I expected a banana in the tailpipe joke for sure. Did not get it.
Banana tailpipe, or they go back to a strip club together, or something.
Yeah, I thought they might go to a strip club.
Yeah.
Or super cops. The only thing these guys are missing is capes.
Yeah. No
I
banana.
don't know. But
No banana.
the movie hits so many nostalgia buttons. I can't really complain about the ones they didn't hit.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I did enjoy this film. I think it's like this was a nice, fun summer popcorn movie.
Yeah.
Was it perfect? No, there's some stuff you can, nitpick. But overall, it was an enjoyable film.
Yeah, bottom line for me, I enjoyed it. I do feel it's too long. It's nearly 2 hours and it's kind of bloated at 2 hours. So that takes it down a notch or two for me. If it was like an hour and a half, even hour 45, I would have liked it even more.
All right.
So
I agree.
Yeah, but yeah,
I agree
Brendan,
with
what are
John.
your thoughts on it overall?
I did enjoy it. I had a lot of fun with it. Like I said, most of the movie I was smiling ear to ear, just like
mhm.
I love when Eddie Murphy is clearly having fun, or like rising, like, or that the movie rises to his talents. I want to say the other way around. I think that's disrespectful to Eddie Murphy's talent, and so when I see a movie like XOF, which is a very serviceable sequel, I'm very happy with that because I had some good laughs and it didn't do anything to dilute the franchise. If anything, this is definitely a good step up from Beverly Hills Cop 3, right?
And apparently that's part of why Eddie Murphy wanted to do this film, because he didn't like does ought to going out on Beverly Hills Cop 3. So
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, and I think they're actually, I think there's an opportunity with the next one, if it is the last one, to do something really special. And on Media Popcorn, we talked about how they filmed Beverly Hills Cop 4 and Bad Boys 4 on the same lot in Atlanta.
Okay.
And there is an interesting world where if both series want to do their swan song, you could bring them together because the comedy sensibilities are very not like exactly the same, but they're in the same ballpark. And so I think there's a really interesting opportunity for the last one or the next one if they choose to do it. But I did enjoy this movie. I think it's a great showcase for Taylor Page.
So you want like a Men in Black 21 Jump Street sort of crossover film?
I think it'd be even better than that. I think it's even more seamless than that. I would love to see that movie, by the way, the 23 Jump Street idea.
Yeah, I kind of would too, because that's just so insane. I want to see that.
Exactly. But
and I liked both of the 21 Jump Street movies a lot. Now I'm just picturing Axel Foley meeting the cops and Bad Boys and then just going, this shit just got realer.
It works. It worked pretty well, I think.
I think so too. That's a pretty good idea. I didn't even think of that, but it would.
Bad Boys films are in Miami, right?
Yeah, they take place in Miami, and so it's easy. Yeah, I think there's something there. If they ever wanted to really go down that road, I do have an idea, folks. If you're listening and you want to hear my pitch, just hit me up. I think there's an interesting idea to bring both the series closure respectfully, while having three of the funniest people ever to hit the screen together in the same movie.
All right.
Okay.
Sounds
all right.
good.
Bad Boys, Beverly Hills Cop. Let's,
That's the only issue is what the hell do you call it?
Beverly Hills Bad Boys.
Beverly Hills Bad Boys.
Darren had that ready to go.
Damn straight I did.
And just to be completely insane, they should just send them to a third city that is neither Beverly Hills.
I was thinking that too, yeah.
Or Miami, or even Detroit. Just put them in Chicago for no reason whatsoever, and then they can meet the cops from running scared. Although Gregory Hines is no longer with us, so maybe that's a bad idea. Then
you could have somebody be like the son of Gregory Hines' character or something.
There you go. There you go.
This is. Yeah, I don't know, Cisco or I don't know, some.
Put Donald Glover in there.
There it is.
Yeah, Donald Glover, not Cisco.
I don't know why I first thought of Cisco.
Darren's like, you want to lose millions of dollars? Put Cisco in this movie.
Yeah,
you know what this movie needs? The thong song.
The kids still like that, right?
Yeah.
I would laugh so hard if a casting director suggested Cisco to me for anything.
I don't think you heard me.
Like what? Why would you do that?
Just he hasn't updated his cachet of what the hip popular music is. Like the Cisco's the last thing that he remembered. So
yeah, the kids are still down with that, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, overall, Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F. Fun, enjoyable movie. I think we all agree.
Yeah.
We got some tweets on it too from our good friends on the Twitter sphere.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
Our good friend Minette Moratti said, between this and the Coming to America sequel, it's sweet that Murphy is keen on making part of his return to full-time acting have themes about being a father to girls. Axel F. hits on the message better than Coming to America 2 and better tender moments surrounding that theme. I would agree with that.
Because, again, no date rape.
Yeah, they really needed that. That really brought the movie down. I was like, oh no, why did we go down? Why was this the choice?
Well, it also kind of tainted what you thought of his character,
yes.
Right? Because I always thought that his character was so pure that he wouldn't have had sex, honestly, before he found Lisa, right? Before he got, and so for them to be like, oh, he was hooking up with a bunch of people, you're like, what?
It was a disservice to the character.
Yeah, that was really weird.
That's why it bummed me out. I was like, come on, man.
Yeah. And we got another comment from our new friend, our new follower. I got to make sure I get this right. Shari, because it rhymes with Starry, Fesco.
Yes.
So she contacted both of us on Instagram last week. We read her comments then, and she says, "Okay, you two, you made me do something my Gen X self vowed not to do. I am officially on Twitter, which I also refuse to call X.
Yay.
Yay. Anyway, very geeked for this Monday's movie. It was truly a sequel in the best way. Loved the character development and the nostalgia. So, well, thank you very much, Shari, and we're glad that you joined Twitter. We're looking forward to hearing you be part of the conversation.
Absolutely. And
So,
so that's the episode, guys.
Yes.
And Brandon, thank you for being here. Thanks for helping us break this down. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thanks for having me, y'all.
Yeah. So, is there anything you'd like to plug, promote? Where can the people find you on the social medias? My friend, the floor is yours.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on to talk about this movie, y'all. You guys can, people, if you enjoyed me, you can follow me on Instagram at Brodo_Blackens. And if you want to come out to my one-man show about my life growing up in Ann Arbor, Michigan, being raised by Black Republicans and having weird childhood experiences like getting stuck on the glacier in Alaska or, being or having to live in a motel during high school, come out to Air Seinfeld's. It's on Friday, August 23rd at the Soho Playhouse in New York City. You can get tickets for that at BrodoBlackens.com. And again, BrodoBlackens.com on Instagram. Thank you all so much.
BrodoBlackens.com. That is a wonderful screen name, sir.
That's a good one.
Hats off to you.
That's a good one. And as always, you can follow us on Twitter because we refuse to call it X at SNL Nerd Show, and you can follow me on all the social medias. My handle's always Darren Credible. That's DARIN Credible.
And if you want to follow me, you can follow me at Trumbull Comic, TRUMBULL, and the word comic. That's over on the Twitter and the Instagram and some other places too. I'm on Blue Sky. I've gotten out of the habit of Blue Sky. I need to go back to the Blue Sky. Yeah.
Yeah, there's
I was all like, I'm fed up with Twitter. I'm gonna go over to Blue Sky, and then and Twitter just pulls me back.
I know.
It's not good. It's not healthy, guys.
It's really not. I'm the same way. Like I signed up on like Threads and Mastodon and Spill, and I still check the Twitter way more than I do those others. Like, I got to cut this thing off, man.
It's we need to like start up an official SNL Nerds page on some of the other places so we have a place to bounce to.
Absolutely.
We need an escape plan, you know, because we don't know what's going to happen.
No, Lord, no.
Things are up in the air.
Well, there's one thing we know what's going to happen on our next episode of SNL Nerds.
That's right. We do know what's going to happen. We are going to do another movie, you guys. So, and yeah, we're getting towards the end of July, which means it's about time for my birthday.
Hey!
So it's going to be me. I'm picking the movie, and decided to do a movie that is near and dear to my heart and also features an SNL alumni. We're going to do High Fidelity, starring John Cusack, as well as his sister Joan Cusack, who was, of course, a member of SNL.
Yeah.
A cast member of SNL. So
Joan Cusack's in that?
Yeah.
Joan Cusack is in that, yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
She calls her brother a fucking asshole.
Oh boy.
So yeah, it's great. Yeah, Joan Cusack is in it. Jack Black is in it. Jack Black's been in the news this week.
Oh, you don't say.
Yeah, we didn't know that when we picked this movie, but serendipity, I guess.
Oh, the movie?
Yeah. Yeah. No, not the movie Serendipity.
Oh, I see.
No,
Oh.
other John Cusack movie.
I
I don't think anybody from SNL is in Serendipity.
Shucks. All right, but
Lisa Bonet and Catherine Zeta-Jones is in High Fidelity, isn't she?
Yeah,
she is.
She broke my heart in that movie. I love that movie.
I can
Yeah.
remember.
So looking forward to watching this. This is a big movie for me, and I have a tale to tell about this movie.
All right.
So, a tale of my personal life. I don't know if I've told you this story before or not, Darren. So,
Oh wow.
Yeah,
guys.
So
guys,
we will get into it next week.
Shit's gonna get real, people. Let's tune in.
Yeah, this movie came along at a very critical time in my life. So
oh boy.
this spoke to me and where I was at. I was going through one of those "what does it all mean" things, just like Rob in the movie.
You're not gonna break down in tears as you tell the story, are you?
No, I don't think so. It's been long enough that I can laugh about it now.
Okay.
Laugh through my tears.
Oh, boy.
So,
All right, I can't wait.
It's all good. It's all good. We're going back like, nearly 25 years now. So yeah, the wounds have had time to heal. So it's all good.
God damn, I can't wait. So guys,
I'm teasing it too much. I feel
yeah, guys,
like
tune in for that.
Tune in, find out. Yeah. So then next week, high fidelity. Join us then, won't you? But until then, nerds out.
This has been a non-productive media presentation. Executive producer Frank Hablawi. This program and many others like it on the Non-Productive Network is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. Please share it, but ask before trying to change it or sell it. For more information, visit non-productive.com.